Welcome back once again to the channel. So I think this might be the last article that we're going to get before release. Second article of the day, so I'm a little bit busy. This should be a relatively quick one though. A lot of this was spoiled a couple of days ago. I didn't talk about it, but you may have seen it. I'm going to go through these cards really quick about the Hardcell. And then this might be the last thing for a couple of days. I do plan to do a live stream unboxing. If I do that, I'll try and post it around. Got to make sure that it comes into the store and everything, but if I get it, I do plan to try and do a live stream unboxing, and I do hope to get in 1 or 2 games this weekend, which I will try and do a battle report for. Otherwise, as soon as I can get up and running on a fleet builder, I will try and build some fleets. I've been playing around. Armada Warlords is pretty much updated now. I need to get a little bit better manipulating it. It's not my usual fleet builder, but it is the one that's updated right now. Once I get a little bit more comfortable with it, maybe I'll build a fleet online. So let's get into the Hardcell. So the Hardcell, just like with all other Armada ships for the most part, we have 2 different varieties. We have the Hardcell class transport. This is the one that I like. This is the cheaper version at 47 points. 5 hull, 1 blue flak, 1 command, 2 squadron, 3 engineering. So this can push squads a little bit. 3 engineering is actually fairly good for a small ship. I have an evade, a brace, and a redirect, so we kind of have a little bit of a rainbow there of defense tokens. 2 red and a blue out the front, 1 blue out of each side, no dice out the rear. 3 shields in the front, 1 out of each side, 2 in the rear. Basically the same shields as a Nebulon B. And then we can go up to speed 3, 2 clicks, speed 1, then speed 2, 1 at each joint, and at 3 we get 1 at the first and second joint, but nothing at the third. So not unmaneuverable, but not terribly maneuverable at speed 3. And then in terms of our upgrade slots, we have 2 officer slots, so that's big. We don't have a lot of ships that have 2 officer slots. So we have 2 officers, a fleet support, and a support team, and fleet support. So 2 officers, support team, and fleet support. This is going to be your go-to support ship. And once we see the titles for these, I think you can build one of these, one version of this that is going to be your kind of go-to. Almost every list is probably going to have at least 1 Hardcell. Are you going to have 3 or 4 Hardcells? Probably not, but I can definitely see 1 being almost required until something else comes to take its place. Almost 1 required in any separatist list that you're going to build. And I think that 1 is more likely to be a transport version as opposed to the battle refit. The battle refit, it's more expensive at 52. 5 hull, we do have better flak, blue and a black. 1 command, 1 squadron, so we lose a squadron. 3 engineering. Same defense tokens, all red dice. 3 in the front, 1 on each side, none in the back. Same movement. And then here we have 1 officer, an offensive retrofit, a defensive retrofit, and a turbo laser. So this one can fight. Now, I guess we will see again with the titles that you could probably make a relatively survivable Hardcell battle refit out of this. Defensive refit, you can get your ECMs or something on there. I think there are ways to make a relatively survivable Hardcell. Now we have some of these upgrade cards. I'm just going through all the upgrades cards they had in the article. Some of these we've seen before. T-Series Tactical Droid. This is a really good card. It is an exhaust. Does require.
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear you. Could you please repeat what you said?
Okay, and then we have the T Series tactical droid. This is a really good upgrade. I like this one a lot. It is an exhaust, and it does require a token to refresh, but you can use any token to refresh it, so not so bad. Um, but it's really good. So when you use an engineering, a nav, or a squadron command to resolve a command, you can exhaust the card, and if you do, resolve that command as if you had spent a dial of the same type instead. Now, so you can only, it has to be it's an only, so you can't do this for engineering and then still use the nav token for something else. You have to choose one, and that's it. So you're basically getting 2 full dials in a in a turn. That's really good. And with some of these other cards that we'll see, there's going to be ways to be able to refresh this. Now, I don't necessarily think this is the best card for the Hardcell, but maybe for the transport version. But because it's command 1, we can only be holding 1 token on there anyways, so we'll have to wait and see. We have an officer here, Rune Hako. So in this one, you're going to start with 2 command tokens of any kind. That's what the blue on the left side says. 4 points, separatists only. When you reveal a command, you may choose another friendly ship at distance 1 to 5. If you do, discard any number of command tokens on that ship, this card, or both, to gain 1 matching command token for each discarded token. So this is an interesting effect. You can be able to move tokens around from one ship to another. Whatever ship he's on, he's going to be able to take tokens from other ships and use them. He's kind of he wants to survive, just like in the movie. He wants to survive. He's going to take everyone's else tokens for himself and use them for himself in order to survive and cause havoc and everything else. I think it's a good ability. I do see him being played. I don't have an exact spot for him right now. Again, because you can do up to 2 tokens, I don't think this is a hard sell guy because you can only have 1 token on the hard sell. But he can definitely go in one of the munificents and just be feeding himself with tokens. And you get 2 tokens on there to begin with, which you're going to be able to use whenever you want to anyways. I think he combos really well with the T-Series tactical droid. But they're both officers. So, maybe the hard sell, because that's the one that you're able to do 2 on. I don't know. You could do that, although I'm not sure that that's going to be the best use for Rune Hako. Munitions resupply, we've definitely seen this one before. You're going to start with 5 concentrate fire tokens on it. Each time you use it, you can send as many of those tokens to other ships. So this is kind of like CommsNet, except only for concentrate fire. And once the card is empty, it's done. But you can send up to 5 of them, so that's like 5 turns worth. So it would be the same as doing, for 5 out of 6 turns, sending a concentrate fire with CommsNet to another ship. So if you know that that's the token you're going to need, this is better because now you can run your own command and still be sending the tokens. The only issue is you have to be able to refresh this. Now, you can refresh it with any token except for a squadron token. So it shouldn't be too hard to get to generate those tokens. But you do need to make sure you can do that. with the exception being that you can refresh this with a token that's already on it. So you could send 2, refresh it with a token that's on it, take that off, then send 2 more, and that would work. Or you could do 1, refresh, 1, refresh, 1, and get 3 out. Parts resupply, pretty much the exact same thing as munitions, except it's for engineering tokens. And a slight difference in the tokens that you can use to refresh it. Here you can use squadron, but you can't use concentrate fire. Reactive gunnery. No. Okay, so I made a mistake. Okay, so you can't use one of the tokens that's on it to refresh it. That's a different card. These ones, but you can take one of those tokens, take it to yourself, refresh it, and then send the other 2. So that's what I was thinking. Reactive gunnery, we've seen this before. This is a really good card. You would not put this on the Hardcell. Why this is in the Hardcell article, I'm not sure. I'll have to read the article again and see why they put this in there. But you're getting the salvo effect if you put this in your defensive retrofit. You wouldn't do that on the battle because you have no rear dice. Doesn't work. So you would not put this on a Hardcell. Reserve hangar deck. I do see reserve hangar deck in general being used with many of the factions. Maybe not rebels so much. Just because they don't have a lot of swarm. But I could definitely see this being used for separatists, for the Galactic Republic and the Empire a lot, especially when there's going to be a lot of cheap squadrons out there flying around. This is going to let you bring them back. Now to the titles. So, Foremans Labor. Before you suffer a damage from an attack, if the defending hull zone has at least 1 shield remaining, you may exhaust this card to reduce the total damage by 1. So this is really good. This is going to make you more survivable. This is probably more for the battle refit. It's pretty good. Now you only have the 1 shield on either side. So, you could boost those shields. There's the upgrade that lets you boost the shields in the sides. Sorry, I can't. It's slipping my mind right now. But really good card. I do like this one a lot. And then we have Beast of Burden, which I like even better. Beast of Burden, when you activate, you may exhaust this card and spend 1 or more of your defense tokens to choose up to that many defense tokens on friendly ships at distance 1 to 3, so relatively close, and ready those defense tokens. That's really good. If what you want is, if one of your munificents is taking fire, you're going to have a transport following, hopefully on the other side of where the battle's happening. So you got the munificent between you and the attackers, and you're staying relatively close to that, and you're going to refresh their tokens for them as they're getting shot to help keep them alive. There's a lot of things in this to keep munificents alive, and I think it's a lot of synergies that you're going to have to make work. But I think that those munificents can probably be pretty tough to kill if you use all of these synergies properly. But thank you very much. Again, this is probably the last article before release, and then we can really get into playing these new factions and really figuring them out and figure out what works and what doesn't. And even more than that, at first most of us are going to be playing these new factions to figure them out. But then we're going to want to play the other factions in order to figure out how to counter these new factions, or what works with those old factions, better now, or what's going to have to take a back seat because of what's happening with the new factions. And I think that's going to be the real story that's to be told. Now, thank you very much. So the one other thing that I would expect is probably, maybe even next week, but relatively soon, we'll probably get an article for the first wave of other ships, the Venator and Providence and those other ships. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.